So, just a quick video, just to check in of what's going on, just to update on my recent newsletter and what I wrote about there. And yeah, pretty much an update on myself, the business I'm running, and how life's going in terms of developing lifestyle design even further. So, if you're new to the channel, this is just where I try every week to sit down, make a little video on how my progress in solopreneurship and how I'm developing my business to maintain and achieve an even greater level of lifestyle design. So by lifestyle design, that basically means a proper balance between scaling your business, making a lot of money, but doing that in a way that actually fuels your passions outside of work. So a business that actually gives you freedom to do what you want. So in my case, that is traveling, surfing, and doing that while also having my business grow. So if you're interested in watching that, or being a part of this journey with me, you can subscribe and follow, and you can also join my newsletter. You'll find the link in the description below. So yeah, that's where I update my lessons and my progress every week. So if you're interested in that, as I said, link is in the description. Now, what I wrote about in my recent newsletter, first and foremost, was that last week I went on a little mini retirement. So if you're not familiar with that term, that is a term from the 4-Hour Workweek, one of my absolute favorite books. It was the book that inspired me to start my own business, and basically it's also where the idea of lifestyle design comes from. So as you can understand, the book had a pretty massive influence on me. But another term outside of lifestyle design that really stuck with me was mini retirements. So essentially, the idea of a mini retirement is two things. So number one, it's to actually test the idea of when you're done working and you can do just exactly what you want. You don't have to work for money anymore. Will you actually enjoy that life? So if your idea of the most amazing version of your life is no work, but only, let's say, surfing. So then a good test to actually see if I would enjoy life if I retired and only surf is to do that for, let's say, a week or two. And then you will know if you actually like not having to do anything else but surfing. It could also be anything else. Maybe you want to, live in a camper van, just retire, travel around and live in a camper van and fish, whatever it is. And then you can test that for 2 weeks, and you actually get a experience of how life is, because there's usually a difference in between how you perceive the life quality to be when you're actually retired and you actually have the life that you think you desire, and actually living that life. Sometimes it's actually different in reality compared to how it feels when you don't have it. So it's kind of a test to see what you actually want and figure that out. But on the other side, the reason why I did a little 3-day mini retirement is because I want to test my business and force myself to build systems, automations, and delegate so that I can actually take 3 days, be fully offline, no connection, no mobile data, no Wi-Fi, no nothing, and have my business still run without me. Now, at the moment, 3 days is pretty much my maximum, I think. So I went from last week, from Friday, I was fully offline from Friday until Monday morning. And what I did was, I'll show you some clips, pretty amazing trip. Me and my friend, we went on a hike up to the second highest volcano in Indo, which was one of the coolest experiences ever. Highly recommended. It's called Mount Rinjani. It's actually 3,726 meters above sea level, so pretty high up. And yeah, first day we went to base camp. Had some amazing views and just a absolutely great time at base camp. We had a guide that gave us food, and they also helped carry a lot of our stuff. And that's actually something I want to touch more on in a later video, or probably in a newsletter or something, because the local guys that helped carrying our stuff, that was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Just to give you an idea of why I found it so impressive, these guys were maybe half my size, but they were carrying maybe 3 times the weight that I was carrying in my backpack on a bamboo stick in flip-flops going up a volcano. And not just going up a volcano, but going down as well, which absolutely insane, blew my mind. And yeah, definitely something I want to touch more on in later, because it was really inspiring. But besides that, it was an amazing trip. We got to the top the next day, started early in the morning, had an amazing view, then got back down, and then we continued to the volcano lake, where we had set up the tent, and we had a night there, and went to the hot springs. There were actually some hot springs there we could swim in, which was super cool. And then the next day we had one of the most amazing hikes I've ever had, in terms of views and the nature surrounding us. So yeah, I'll add some video while I'm talking about this. So that was basically my experiment of a 3-day mini retirement. So I got back, was a bit nervous, when I got back on Sunday night, but I still didn't want to log online until Monday, because I really wanted to do a proper test, and get used to actually not always being online and available, because I think that's an important thing. If you're always available, over time your business is just going to always require you, because that's how you base your business. All your clients are used to you always being active. You don't have any system in place, or you haven't delegated anything to make sure that if you're not available, stuff still happens. Products are still being followed up on, and if there's any issues, you have no system in place to actually take care of those issues. So that being said, at the moment I think a 3-day mini retirement is like the max, but I definitely want to increase that. I want to hire more and have better SOPs for my contractors, and have systems in place and automations to make sure that I can maybe do a 7 to 14 day offline period. So by the end of this year, that will be my goal, to make that happen. It's going to be very challenging, and I definitely need to make a lot of changes, but I think it's a really cool goal to have, so that I can actually work myself out of the business, to be able to do adventures where you're not always connected to the internet. So the next thing that I wrote about in my newsletter was goal setting. I think for me this year, goal setting has been the number one thing that has created clarity in my life, and also improved the quality of my life. Waking up and having a clear goal of what you're trying to achieve really makes life better, at least for me. Not just because you know what to do and you have clarity, but you also feel like you have an identity. And at least for me, this is really important, to know that I have a purpose in life and something I'm reaching for. Makes me feel more confident in myself, makes me feel very clear about what I need to do, and where I'm going with my life. So in the beginning of this year, I sat down, I wrote down 2 main goals that I want to achieve. Before, I haven't set a deadline for both the goals, but one of the goals is getting barreled in 5 years surfing. If you don't know what a barrel is, it's basically you're fully covered by the wave. And my definition of getting barreled is you're fully covered for 2 to 3 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds, something like that, where people, if you're standing just in front of the wave, you can't see me. You're fully covered in the wave. So that's my definition of it, and that's just a goal outside of work. And then my business goal is to get to 1 million USD in annual profit. So that is my 2 main goals. Now, both goals are extremely difficult to achieve. It's far beyond my current capabilities, both for surfing and in business. But even if I fail and I never reach these goals, just having them, not saying that I'm not trying to reach them, I'm definitely trying to reach them. That is something I definitely want to do. But just if you look past the actual outcome of having the goals, just having the goals in itself really creates so much clarity for me, and gives me purpose and ambition and passion, that gets me up in the morning and makes me know what to focus on and what to do. So I think goal setting is extremely important, and I think the downside of not having really clear goals for your life is that other people, consciously or subconsciously or indirectly, will set the goals for you. So that would either be your parents. They're not directly telling you these are your goals, but they're giving you expectations directly or indirectly that you kind of live by. even if you know it or not. Maybe there are some career goals that they have set for you. Maybe you follow your father or your mother's footsteps, and you're not really fully aware of it. It just kind of happens that way. It could also be your teachers. Could affect what your goals are and what you're working towards. Your boss, very common if you have a job. Your goals are aligned with your boss's goals, so it's not really your goals, and the boss tells you what your goals are going to be. So if you don't set your own goals, people are going to set them for you, and I also think that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you want to take action and you want to be the author of your own story and your life, and you want to set your own plot for your life, I think you need to be really mindful of what you actually put as your main goals in life. Now, I don't think you should be too obsessed about selecting the goal or choosing the goal. My goals will probably change over time, and that's also something that I touched on in my latest newsletter. So my business goal, I initially put in the beginning of this year to get to 1 million USD in annual profit with my business. Now, that goal is actually something I've recently changed a little bit, and that is because the goal isn't fully aligned with how I actually want my life to look like. So I've defined it even further and more specific. So I've used a metric that is called ROTI. That means return on time invested. So for me, in terms of lifestyle design, I don't want to spend 8 to 10 hours every day working on my business in front of my computer, being connected to the internet. I want to be out there and explore the world, pursue my passion for surfing, and that means that I need to reach that goal without spending all that time on my computer. So I needed a metric that could more, or at least align even more closely to my actual goal. So if just making profit was my goal, then that wouldn't be what I should optimize for. So instead I defined my ROTI. So the calculation is very simple, and I will probably change this over time, but this is just what I come up with. And the point is in the number here. The point is being mindful of that you have a ROTI number. So if you divide 1 million USD annual profit on all the weeks, 52 weeks, and let's say you work 4 hours 5 days per week, so 4 hours of really deep conscious intentional work 5 days a week for 4 hours. That means if you're going to reach 1 million USD in annual profit, you have to make about 961 USD per hour. So each of those 4 hours that you spend every day, 5 days a week for 1 year, will have to actually have an output of 961 USD. So the thing is, that's not really how it works. So obviously some hours aren't going to have a direct output in terms of results, and then you have a few hours that has a massive output in terms of results, just depending on the activity you do and the results that you have. So it's not so much in terms of thinking that every hour you put in has a direct 961 USD result. It's more about being mindful of how you should value your time and how you should set up your business, the business model you should pursue, and figuring out how you can apply leverage to make sure that your time becomes really valuable. So as an example, some guy was on a strategy call with me, and he asked if I provided coaching because he wanted me to coach him for a Facebook ad strategy. And I told him, no, I don't do coaching. And the reason why I don't do coaching, which is not something I told him, I didn't need to justify it, I just told him I didn't do coaching. But for me, the reason why I don't do it is because justifying charging $961 for 1 hour of coaching is really difficult. For most people, it's not going to make sense to pay that much. Of course, for some businesses that have massive budgets, that might make sense. But it's not just that. It's also, I don't want my business model to be built upon one-on-one coaching, because that means I need to be connected to the internet in order to make money. So understanding the ROTI makes me also have a framework in terms of decision making of how I want to spend these 4 hours. I need to spend them on leverage activities. That means I need inputs that can result in way bigger outputs. So if I maybe spend 1 to 4 hours on making a really good video, that video can get a lot of views and result in a lot of money somehow. and it continued to provide me with outputs from just those 4 hours of input, and that is leverage, you know, getting more with less, and that is how you can get to the point where 961 USD per hour of input makes sense overall. So yeah, my new goal, to sum it up, is pretty much get to 1 million USD per year in profit with a ROTI of 961 USD. So I will most likely change these numbers. I might change the ROTI, but this is just, I think, a more accurate metric in terms of how you want to set up your life if you're optimizing for lifestyle design and not just making a lot of money. So that is pretty much what I talked about in my newsletter. Now, business is going pretty well. We're optimizing. I'm hiring more people on my team, making systems and improving the business. And yeah, we're getting a lot of leads coming in. So things are definitely moving in the right direction. And I'm happy to, you know, moving forward, I will try to document more of the journey and the actual day-to-day stuff that I do. So yeah, I'll also add all the stats when I'm editing this in terms of the growth on LinkedIn, YouTube, both channels, Instagram, Twitter, and what was the last thing? Booked calls. So I'll add all those stats when I'm editing this video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next week's video.